stick around because I'm going to show you how to make a fun modern quilt block that sort of tricks the eye. Hi everybody, it's Claudia from Create with Claudia, and today I'm going to show you my Ice Cubes quilt block. It's sort of a weird name for it. It was for a challenge for something called Quilt Block Mania. It's called, again, Ice Cubes quilt block because I thought I wanted to look like ice cubes, but it's modern. It gives you a really cool 3D effect. I'm going to hold it up for you. This is the one I made for my blog post, and then the one that you're going to see me make today is this one. Great for scraps. I love, me, I love scrap fabric projects, and whenever I do videos like this, I like to hit my scrap fabric box. This is a 12.5-inch block. It's easy to do, although there are a couple little tricky parts, and there are some smaller pieces, but not a big deal. This is a free pattern. You can watch along, and I'll have measurements up on the screen, or you can head over to my website, www.createwithclaudia.com, and you can find it there and download it if you want. It's a PDF, and I have some brief instructions as well on how to piece it. So go grab your scrap boxes, decide what colors you want to use, and let's get sewing this Ice Cubes block. Here are the pieces you're going to need. Very simple. I've already cut them all out. You are going to need, from the background fabric, which in my case is this white, you're going to need 2 pieces of piece A. It's 2.5 inches by 12.5 inches. Piece B, you need 2 pieces, 2.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Piece C, you need 2 pieces, 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Piece D, 1 piece, 2.5 inches by 8.5 inches. And piece E, which is still in the background fabric, you need 4 pieces, cut 2.25 inches by 2.25 inches, so it's a 2.25 inch square. Piece F, which is the darkest piece, you need 4 pieces that are cut 2.5 inches squared. So watch out, some are 2.25, some are 2.5. So the piece F, 4 pieces, 2.5 inches. Piece G, 4 pieces, 2.25 inches, and that's of the medium fabric. Piece H, 4 pieces, 1.5 inches. And then lastly, in the lightest fabric, you need piece I, 4 pieces cut 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. And then last but not least, piece J, 4 pieces cut 2.25 inches square, 2.25 inches by 2.25 inches. So those are the pieces you're going to need, and we're going to start making half square triangles with all of the 2.25 inch squares. All right, so here are the 2.25 inch squares. We have the background, the medium, and the light. And we're going to set those up here really quickly, but the first thing you're going to do is draw a diagonal line on the back of the lightest pieces of fabric, because you're going to pair them up. So you want to pair them up, but I've already done it on here. I'm just going to show you really quickly how I do that. You just need a ruler and your water-soluble marker. Luckily this is white, so the marker is blue, and that should come off with water later. So you draw that on these 4 pieces. My background is light. If you use a darker background, you might want to choose the lighter fabric of the pairs. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 of the background fabric, pieces E. These are piece E. And you're going to pair it up with 2 of the piece H's, and that's from the medium fabric. So I'm going to put those together, set those aside. Then you're going to still use these E. These are the background fabrics, and you're going to pair these 2 squares up with 2 of fabric J, and that's the lighter one. So we're going to set those to the side, and then you're going to pair these 2 pairs up, and I still need to draw on the diagonal lines on the back of the lighter one, which in this case is this one. So, but I'm going to show you on one of these other ones, just so you can see what we're going to do. We're going to make half square triangles. What we're going to do is we're going to take our fabric square right sides facing. This is batik, so it's kind of hard to tell, but I can kind of see. And you're going to pair them up line them up right sides facing on top of each other, because you wanted to draw that line on the back side of the fabric. And you're going to sew a 1/4 inch. Let me see, I'm going to move that up a little bit so you can see it. It's hard on the white. So you're going to sew a 1/4 inch along the drawn line, not on the drawn line, but on each side of the drawn line. And you're going to do that with all of these pairs, and then I'll show you what we do next. Alright, so here are all my pairs. I've sewn down each side. You can see, whoops, if I can pick it up here. I used a darker thread this time. A lot of times in my videos you'll notice I don't, and then it's hard to see. But I use that sort of a medium blue for that. And the next thing you're going to do is you're going to trim these along that drawn line. I'm going to zoom in the camera a little bit so you can see more of the action. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to get your rotary cutter, and you're just going to cut right on that drawn line. Don't cut through any of the sewing I just did, or you just did. Very easy to do. We're still going to have to press these and trim these down, but I'm going to do that with the rest of these. Alright, so here they are all pressed. I pressed to the dark on all of them. And I'm going to show you how to trim them down, because you're going to trim all of these half square triangles down to 1.5 inches square. Now I know there's a lot of excess fabric, but these are small pieces, so I like to have some excess fabric. So you're going to use your ruler, and again, I love my handy dandy square ruler with that diagonal line. Line that diagonal line up here on your seam. And the first cut I'm going to do is just sort of trim off that edge to straighten it out. And of course, I keep saying that, I need a new rotary cutter blade. Watch your fingers. There you go. And then what you're going to do is rotate that around, because now you have a nice sharp point to start with. Okay? These are small, so they're fiddly. And then you're going to go to your square ruler and find the point on that diagonal line where the 1.5 inch, where it's 1.5 inches. So you're going to line it up 3 places on the diagonal line, on the left side, and on the bottom side. So you can see that at 1.5. And then you're going to trim. And hopefully, it all came across. And there you go. There's your perfect 1.5 inch half square triangle. So I'm going to do that with the rest of these yet. Alright, so the next step is putting together those 4 little sort of 3D looking cubes. I call them ice cubes. So that's what we're doing next. So you got to pay really close attention to the angles of these half square triangles, which I've trimmed them all down to 1.5 inches. But I'm going to show you how to do it. There's 2 different directions you want to do these in. So this is for the cube, and in the pattern, the free pattern on my website, this will be cube number 1. And what you need is you need one of these half square triangles that has fabric E, which is that lightest fabric, plus the background fabric. E is the background fabric, plus J, which is that lightest fabric. Then you need one of those 1.25 inch cubes of the lightest blue fabric in my case, and that is piece I. And then you want a half square triangle with piece J and piece H. So that's the medium and that's the light blue. You can kind of see how that angle, now this angle is pointing from bottom right to upper left. And then up here, you're going to want one of the medium squares, and that's piece G. And then you want one of these half square triangles with a piece E, which is the background, in my case white, and then piece H, which is, and see how that's all sort of facing that way. So you're going to piece these together, and I'm going to show you how to lay out the other one. I highly recommend you go to the website and download the pattern, because it shows you pictures of both of these. So this will be the other one. You're going to make two that are shaped like this, and 2 that are shaped like this. So for this one, you want, it's basically, they're just sort of opposite. There's your piece G and your piece, got to make sure you're laying it out right. That's why it helps me, I'm very visual, so it helps me to lay it out before I sew, because these are pretty specific layouts here, so you don't want to mess it up. And then one of the lighter ones, and then one of these. So these are the layouts. You're going to make 2 that look like this and 2 that look like this. And basically how I'm going to do that, and I'll just show you really quickly on one of them, is you're going to piece together this to this and this to this first. Alright, so here we go. I've sewn these two pieces together on this one and these two on this one. And then on this one, you are going to put, so I sewed those two together and then these two together. So you see it's sort of coming together. Now, the next thing you're going to do is sew together this row up here and then this section to this section, and do that on both sides. Alright, so I've pressed those. What I like to do is I will press this this piece F. I'll press towards that piece, and then this upper one I'll press to the outside so they nest nicely when I'm piecing them together. But that's what that one looks like, and that's what this other side looks like. And then last but not least, to make this unit, you're just going to sew this to the top of this, always using that 1/4 inch seam allowance. And in this case, I will pin it just so it fits together nicely. Alright, so here are my 4 sort of 3D units, my 3D ice cubes as I call them. I went ahead and made the other 2, and you can see how there's 2 this way and, 2 this way and 2 this way. And now we're ready to assemble this block. So the first thing you're going to do is you want 2 of the opposite ones like this, and you're going to take your piece C, which is the background fabric, these smaller ones. These, by the way, should measure 3.5 inches square, just so you know. So remember, we cut those 2 pieces like this, 3.5 inches square, and they do match. And you're going to just sew this to this row, and you're going to do that twice. I mean, once you get through this little fussy area here, it's very easy to put this together. You just got to kind of make sure you're laying everything out in the right way. Alright, so you can see how it's coming together nicely. Very easy to do. And then you're going to get that piece D, which is a strip like this, and you're just going to add that to the center. So before I take this over to the ironing board, I just want to show you really quickly. I always sew on this side. If you got like a straight sashing seam like that, I like to sew on this side so I can actually see my points. So if you can see with that thread, this is that long seam, and the way I help get points, then they're not always sharp, but you can try and get points. Here's a little tip for you. You want to sew right on or just to the outside of that cross, that line where the 2 seams, the 2 original seams cross. This is the last seam I just stitched. So right there, you just form a little star there, or if you push it over just a little bit to the outside, you're going to get hopefully a nice sharp point. It doesn't always work, but we'll give it a try. And now I'm going to go press this. All right, so there it is. It's nicely pressed, and there you can kind of see where I have nice sharp points because I could see where I sewed on that point. So now here's what it looks like. Got some fuzzies on it. And now we're going to just put along those, add those outside borders. So first off, you're going to get 2-piece Bs. The 2-piece Bs, and you're just going to put 1 on both sides. Very easy peasy, lemon squeezy, as my daughter used to say. So I'm just going to do that really quickly. Again, we always stay with that 1/4 inch seam allowance all along. And this is where you want to sew so you can see this side, so you make sure you get those nice sharp points again. Alrighty, so here it is, almost done. We just have those 2-piece A's to add to the top and the bottom, like so and like so. And then this block, we're going to press it. It should measure 12.5 inches square. Alright, here is my block. I love it. It's just such a fun block, and it gives you that 3D effect. Let me pull it down just a little bit so you see the whole thing. Lots of fun to make in all kinds of colors. I was into the blues. I like a lot of blues. This was the one I made originally for the blog post. And you can see I made gray, but also blues, but a little bit frostier looking, I think. Lots of fun, so many design possibilities. You could really show off maybe a fussy cut, like a fabric that you really liked, and maybe make these areas like gray and black or something like that. Just play with it a little bit and have some fun. So here you go. Here's my block one more time. Love this block. Lots of fun. So many design possibilities with this. Just a great modern look, a little bit different, and it got that great 3D effect, which I really love. I love to play with 3D things, and I've had a couple patterns. I don't know if you've seen them in the past. There's one, it's a 3D friendship star, which is lots of fun to make. I have the link up on the screen. So yeah, check them out. I hope you do. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.